Hey, all you ass kickers, kicking ass with 2 feet. How is it going? I'm good. I'm kind of on fire. I'm cranking shit out. It's Thursday, but this is your Saturday video. I'm recording it early so that I can go out into the nature with my boyfriend who I adore. And I love myself, so I'm giving myself a little mini vacation. And I love the nature, so I'm going to get all up in it. And I love you all, so I'm going to make sure you still have your videos. So, happy Saturday by the time you see this. So we're on a theme. We're talking on a theme, which I have chosen to be rigorous honesty. I help sober, creative women enjoy their recovery more, get the most out of their recovery. And so if you got sober like I did in an AA program, you're familiar with the concept of rigorous honesty, which is something that we take very seriously and strive for and use to get and stay sober. And what does it mean? Well, I've posted some videos about it, like different ways you can look at it and lenses you can place in front of it and apply to your life. And I was just in a meeting the other day that talked about this idea of needing to be right. And it was so interesting because, first of all, that is just such a sticking point, right? Can you imagine the last time, probably today at some point, if you're like me and have an ego and are human, where someone said something that you didn't agree with, maybe you saw it on the news or in your Facebook feed or from someone in your family or someone in your house, and you could just feel yourself getting defensive and wanting to prove yourself right. Or have you felt that feeling where someone calls you out for being wrong about something and how devastating that can be, or how quickly you want to defend it and attack them? And what is that all about, really, right? We just go through our whole lives taking that as just the way it is. I'm right, you're wrong, and I need to convince you about my rightness or your wrongness, or both of those things, right? And we take things so personally, and we fight, and some, nations fight. Wars are fought over right and wrong, and it's just fascinating that it's so infrequently questioned and examined. And so today I really wanted to dig into being rigorously honest about why the fuck do I need to be so right all the time. So the topic on that meeting was about that, and I've been thinking about it ever since. And it was so funny because before that meeting I saw a white woman post about this really ignorant statement that I don't even want to repeat here, but it was basically arguing that there is even such a thing as white privilege, and she compared it to something that was totally not even a comparison, which is classic for people who don't understand white privilege. And I'm trying to be patient, and I'm laughing at myself because I got all riled up when I saw it, and I had to remember, I didn't always know what white privilege was, and I wasn't always part of the anti-racist fight, and all these things, but I just felt myself getting so oh, she's wrong. And it was this feeling of and I have to do something about it. And I was getting angry, she had offended me somehow. And I think it's such a good exercise to be willing to look at this. So many of us just stop there. We just go, yeah, I'm right and she's wrong. And then we make something of it. We might pick a fight, or we might bitch about it to our partner, or we just might let it ruin our day. We talk about that person with our friends and just can you believe that bitch? But what if we just stopped and detached from all that and looked at why is it important that I'm right, and what does that mean? And a couple of fascinating things came for me from being willing to even ask myself that kind of question. One thing I realized was a new question I've been asking is, how can I let this fuel me? So I went ahead and looked up an article about how to explain white privilege and making sure I really understood that, and posted something on my page to help educate other people who might be open to hearing about, why what she said was problematic and not true and blah, blah, blah. So what was a positive way that I could share something that I felt convicted about? Because I'm not saying we should just let everyone say whatever they want and do whatever they want and just spiritually bypass that shit. But I think we're more inclined to take more effective action when we can first just pause and take a breath and not come at someone out of a reaction of you offended my rightness. That's our ego talking. And I think it's so fascinating because I remember I've been sober 6 years, and I've been really obsessed and interested in self-help books and spirituality and things like that. So I remember reading about the ego for many years now and understanding it on some sort of an intellectual level. But the issue of I'm right, you're wrong is such a great way to really see the ego in action, because it doesn't quite register. I don't know how to explain this. Like, reading about it is one thing, but then like identifying it in me and going, that's what they're talking about. Like when you hear Eckhart Tolle, for instance, talk about the ego is like an identity, like it has to defend its identity. It's afraid of death. Like it has to defend and protect, and it's all based out of fear. We read about that and we're like, yeah, that's just a concept. But when you feel that feeling in your body when someone threatens your being right, you get to see it firsthand. Like, holy shit, it does feel like a separate like entity within me that's all fucking riled up, right? That's the ego. And it's very interesting to see, like, what would it be like to not have to defend myself right now? I'm a student of the Course in Miracles too. And it talks a lot about like, in my defenselessness, my something lies, my security or my peace or something. It's about being defenselessness. Like as soon as we feel like we need to defend, that's where the attack starts. Byron Katie talks about that too, where she's like, anytime, again, I'm sorry I'm butchering certain quotes and stuff, but the idea is like, war can't happen without our consent. Like if someone attacks me, it's not really an attack until I defend myself. Then I like, perpetuate it. If someone says something I disagree with and I can just kind of detach and be like, that's them, they're entitled to their opinion. Why does it have to offend me? It's so interesting. And I feel like having the willingness to be honest about that is so good for our growth and for our evolution. If we want to elevate our consciousness, if we want to achieve some sort of enlightened state, which I don't believe is any sort of like actual end goal, but I think we can keep evolving and keep traveling this spiral to be like more compassionate and more peaceful souls in this world that can help more. If we can ask ourselves these questions, I think that we can kind of rise above the fray a little bit. Like, and this is such a great challenge, and I can challenge you right now. Like, next time you feel like someone is wrong, can you just stop and like let them be wrong? Could you just try to not say anything? Like, what would happen if you just let them be the way they are? And there's something, even just saying this, I can remember times where there's something in me that feels threatened by that. Like, and I just would encourage you to really dig into why. Like, what's being threatened there? It's not you, right? Like the real you with the capital Y, like the part of us that is, we're children of God, like we're divine beings having a human experience. Like that shit, it's just, there's no such thing as right or wrong. Like it's just us being trapped in the dualistic mind, the either or, the good, bad, right, wrong. It's us trying to create some sort of ground under ourselves in a world that just isn't it, right? Like, I don't know if this is making sense, but I just think there's so much value, and it's so transformational when we're willing to dig into that kind of shit that usually goes unquestioned. Our reactions, our behaviors, our personalities, the things we just kind of take for granted. And what if we just took a pause and really looked at that? And I think if you take that time to maybe write out, like, why was I so mad that this random person who I don't even know personally on Facebook had an opinion that didn't jive with mine, and everything else about her is great. Like, she's posting lovely shit otherwise, but we just really disagree about this white privilege thing. What does that mean? Why does it matter? And again, this isn't to, like, there is some stuff that does harm, like continues to harm marginalized and oppressed populations. There is stuff that needs to be changed as far as systemic racism. This isn't like that, about that. So maybe I'm just saying, like, yeah, some stuff needs to be challenged, right? Or some stuff you might like feel that spark and you're like, this isn't my ego, this is just like my value and I need to speak out about this. That's very different. I'm just talking about, like, notice the places where you get riled because someone's disagreeing with you or has even a different opinion with you, and just see. And you might still decide to react or respond, but just try to step back for a second, for a breath, for a minute, and just say, like, why does this really matter? What is being threatened? Why am I threatened by this? And just be really, like, willing to be honest with yourself and be curious. And if it's an ego thing, if you're willing to look at it and face it, it unravels so quickly if you just shine a little light of inquiry or curiosity on it, and you can just kind of chuckle and be like, okay, there's a more positive way for me to respond to this, or maybe I don't want to respond at all, or maybe I will like start a conversation with this person it just opens up all this spaciousness and all this room to breathe that I think we could really use in the world today. So there you go. Have fun with that. Let your mind get blown by that. Just watching your brain and watching the ego and watching your reactions. If you let it be a chance to learn about yourself and grow, it can get really fun and interesting. And so that's my wish for you this weekend. And also enjoy your weekend. And I will see you next week for your weekly tit. Try it Tuesday. All right. It's so good to be here making videos for y'all. Thank you for watching. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, send me an email. I would love it. amandagoldmakesart@gmail.com. Also, I'm revamping my Instagram account and it's going to be dope. So if you want to follow me, it's at kickasswithbothfeet. That's it. All right. Have a lovely, lovely day. You're amazing. Thank you. Bye.